This season, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has ascended to becoming one, if not the top shooting guard in the NBA. But how did he fall to the 11th pick in the 2018 draft, and what happened to the players taken ahead of him? That's what we're talking about in today's video, so if you guys like the content, smash the like and sub button. Let's go over 7 likes on today's video, and let's get into this. In high school, SGA was a top recruit. He graduated as the 35th player and 9th point guard in the country, but his name wasn't brought up too much when it came to the draft. There was definitely some interest considering his size for the position at 6'5", but he was going to need an impressive freshman year at Kentucky to go one and done. Now on paper, the production wasn't anything crazy, but he did manage to shoot up the board throughout the year. He averaged 14 points and 5 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 40% from 3. He wasn't an explosive athlete, he had unusual shot form, but his size, ability to both score and play make out of the pick and roll, which accounted for over 40% of his college production, and his consistency at the rim as he shot 57% there, made him considered by most one of the top point guard prospects in this class. Now what's interesting to look back at is just how low the expectations were for him. Everyone was raving about the upside of other point guards like Trae Young and Colin Sexton, but seemed to look at SGA as a low risk, low upside selection, a huge factor being scouts' lack of confidence in his shooting ability. Today's video is sponsored by PrizePicks, a sports pick'em site where you can now get up to 25 times your entry just for picking more or less on certain player stats. I've been having a ton of fun on PrizePicks, mixing up all different sports, and that's what we're doing for today's entry. You know, we've got to start it off with some NBA. I'm going to bias points with all the injuries in Philly. It just seems free. I'm going Tyrese Halliburton assists coming off back-to-back 14 assist games. Then I'm actually adding in Cristiano Ronaldo to get a goal against Ghana tomorrow. And lastly, PrizePicks has a free square right now where Justin Jefferson only needs to get a singular yard. I know that's a lot, but I think he can do it. All this happens, my $20 entry becomes $200. If you guys want to play along or make your own entries on top of the Justin Jefferson free square, they've got a pretty awesome promo for you guys. If you download PrizePicks with the link in the description and use code JIMMER, they're going to give you a deposit match up to $100. Send me your entries if you end up making one. Thank you PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. Bleacher Report's scouting report said, without the speed, athleticism, or reliable 3-ball, Gilgeous-Alexander projects as more of a role player than a star. He could start one day given enough support, but low-end starter. Sports Illustrated said, it's easy to envision Gilgeous-Alexander developing into one of the better backcourt defenders in the league, but his future on the other end is hazy. Almost every single outlet seemed to have extremely low expectations for a guy they were still mocking as a lottery selection. It really felt like all they were saying is, yeah, he's not going to be anything special, but because of his size and defense for the position, he'll still somehow be a top pick. The only comparison that seemed to be consistent was DeJounte Murray, and I'm not talking about the DeJounte Murray we've come to know. I'm talking about the one in 2018 that was averaging 8 points a game. Now to be fair, I don't think many, including myself, thought what we were seeing right now was even possible at the time. On draft night, he ended up landing in the hands of the Charlotte Hornets at 11, but almost immediately was dealt to the Clippers in exchange for the very next selection, Miles Bridges, along with 2 future second-round picks. Pretty soon after, it became clear the Clippers landed one of the top steals of the draft. During the Summer League, he averaged 19 points and 4 assists. That success carried over to his rookie year, where he started almost every single game, averaging 11 points on great efficiency for a Clippers team that made it to the playoffs. By no means were people talking about SGA as a future superstar after his rookie year, but it definitely felt like the consensus was that LA found their future point guard. That was until the Clippers were involved in 2 of the biggest offseason moves in recent memory, signing Kawhi Leonard in free agency, then shortly after, trading for Paul George from the Oklahoma City Thunder, giving up one of the craziest packages we've ever seen that's only gotten crazier since. The Thunder got SGA, Danilo Gallinari, 5 future first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. Insane. From the second SGA sophomore season started, it looked like the Clippers probably made a mistake. He averaged 19 points on super solid efficiency, leading the Thunder alongside Chris Paul to the playoffs, something no one was expecting before the year. SGA would take another jump in year 3, going to 24 points on amazing efficiency, but only played just over 30 games due to injury. Then last year, we saw similar production, but once again, missed a good part of the year. Now, this wasn't really a big deal to the organization, as they weren't career-altering injuries, and it actually helped them live towards the bottom of the league and walk away from the draft with guys like Josh Giddey and Chet Holmgren. Now this season, fully healthy, and with a quickly improving supporting cast, he cemented himself as not only one of the top guards in the league, legitimately one of the top players. He's averaging 31 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds on ridiculous 53, 41, 91 splits. His ability at all 3 levels, ability to get to the line, and well-rounded game outside of scoring has made him must-see TV to start the season. The Thunder have their franchise player, there's no doubt about that, which is scary to think about considering Chet Holmgren still hasn't made his debut, and they still have a massive pool of future draft selections. But now let's take a look at those 10 players taken ahead of SGA. With the first overall pick in the draft, the Phoenix Suns, a team that had lived at the bottom of the league for several years, decided to play it safe and take the top pick in the class, Arizona center DeAndre Ayton. While there's no question the Suns wish they went elsewhere, Ayton has developed into a great center in this league, being a pivotal part of both their regular season and playoff success over the last 2 years. He's coming off a year averaging 17 points and 10 rebounds while being a super solid defender. With the second overall pick, the Sacramento Kings decided to grab Duke forward Marvin Bagley. While in retrospect, it's easy to laugh at this selection, the laughing should come from their decision not to take the guy that went next, rather than Bagley as a prospect. He dominated college basketball. He averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds on ridiculous efficiency as a freshman at Duke. His ability to run the court and skill for someone at that size was rarely seen, but sadly, things just haven't worked out at the NBA level. With Sacramento, he struggled to stay on the court, and even when out there, was averaging just 14 points a game. He ended up falling out of the rotation and was traded to Detroit last year. Since then, he's been solid, but nothing resembling the second overall pick in the draft. The third overall pick was made by the Hawks for the Mavericks after they made a deal on draft night. The Mavericks ended up walking away with none other than Luka Doncic, the only player that I think is going ahead of SGA in a 2018 redraft based on what we know right now. Since being one of the most slept on prospects in league history, he's quickly become one of the top players in the league, currently in the MVP race, averaging a league high 34 points a game. The fourth overall pick was made by the Grizzlies, who decided to go with Michigan State forward Jaren Jackson Jr. Triple J's career has been weird. By his second season, he was averaging 17 points, shooting 39% from 3 on 7 attempts a game while being a great defender. Since then though, he's dealt with injuries that I really think have hurt his offensive development, but his well-rounded game has still made him a key part of this super promising young Grizzlies team. Last year he averaged 16 points on pretty disappointing efficiency, but a league high 2.3 blocks. I really do think though, there's still some pretty significant offensive development coming his way. The fifth overall pick was made by the Hawks, who were the first team to go point guard, taking Oklahoma's Trae Young. While Young struggled to begin his career, by his second season, he was averaging 30 points and 9 assists. Since then, he's been one of the top point guards in the league, but to start this year, it's been quite the struggle. He's averaging 27 points and 9 assists, but shooting 39% from the field and less than 32% from 3. Hopefully he can turn things around, but I think this is an interesting part of the draft when it comes to SGA. As I said earlier, I think Luka is the only player I'm taking over Shai right now, but I want to know what you guys think. Would you rather have SGA or Trae Young? The sixth overall pick was made by the Magic, who ended up taking Texas center Mo Bamba. The 7-footer's draw coming into the draft was his historic wingspan and shot blocking ability, but in his first few seasons, it wasn't all that impressive. He struggled to expand his role and really didn't look good when out there. This past year he had a little bit of a resurgence, but once again this season, he's struggling to hold on to his role, losing time to Bol Bol, and only recently seeing a lot of time out there due to the injury of Wendell Carter. He's averaging 9 points and 5 rebounds on solid efficiency. The 7th pick was made by the Bulls, who actually took the player we were just talking about, Wendell Carter Jr. After being Duke's defensive anchor, he was viewed as one of the safer prospects in this class. In his first couple seasons with the Bulls, it was solid, but he didn't leave too much to get excited about. He was then traded to the Magic in the Vucevic deal, and he's really blossomed into one of the most well-rounded bigs in this league. Right now, he's putting up an efficient 17 points and 9 rebounds, while also bringing really solid playmaking and defense. He's getting paid $10 million in 2026. I think he's got to be one of the best contracts in the league currently. The 8th overall pick was made by the Cavaliers, who ended up going with one of the more exciting prospects, the young bull Colin Sexton. There was a lot of hope coming into the draft that he was going to bring a lot of defense and would develop into a true point guard. And while the scoring came almost immediately, averaging 24 points by his third season, which was undoubtedly impressive, his value really started to come into question as it became clear he wasn't a point guard and he lacked the size to make an impact defensively. He missed almost all of last season with injury, then ahead of this year was traded to the Jazz in the Donovan Mitchell trade. I think we're starting to see what's probably the best long-term role for him, and that's as a 6th man. This year he's averaging 13 points on 48-36 splits. The 9th pick was made by the Knicks, who selected Kentucky forward Kevin Knox. Knox showed a lot of promise early, but the talent just never added up to consistent production. By his third season, he was averaging just 11 minutes and less than 4 points. Now this year with the Pistons, he's averaging a super inefficient 2 points a game. It really looks like his NBA opportunities are running out. Then lastly, we've got the 10th overall pick in the draft in the hands of the 76ers, who decided to go with Mikal Bridges, but shortly after traded him to the Phoenix Suns. Bridges was viewed as a player ready to make an impact immediately as a 3-and-D wing, but had very limited upside. It really feels like scouts underrating upside just might be the theme of this class. Bridges has improved year after year and is now averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on ridiculous 55-44 splits while being one of the league's top wing defenders. There's no question he'd be coming off the board way earlier in the event of a redraft. But that's even, you guys. You guys tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, smash the like and sub button, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.